as he has begun to understand what he can do, his dreams have started to evolve as well. Yep. His whole perspective on life has changed. Tell me, for you as a leader, how does that feel to you?
Yeah, that is the most rewarding part of being an ICM.
Yeah,
is introducing people to this incredible opportunity that's changed my life, and I know it'll change theirs.
Everybody, welcome back to the Renatus J.A.M. My name is Jay Stark, and joining me as always is my fearless co-host,
Mr. Matt Snyder.
Mr. Matt Snyder.
I guess I don't have to get close to the mic again, right?
That's right.
Aaron's gonna yell at me.
That's right. We are now.
Stay back here.
We have to be 3 fist lengths away from the microphones.
The distance that we need to be from the microphones has tripled. Yeah. So what's going on? I mean, what do we got coming up?
I got a couple of things that are coming up.
What?
You ready for this?
Yes.
All right. So today is January 29th.
Yes, it is.
If I did my math correctly, I took my socks off and I counted on my toes. I think that today's January 29th, which means that should we have any ICM stragglers who have not yet renewed,
you're hosed in a couple days.
You got 2 days left.
Yeah, for real though. So I know that, there's always deadlines and stuff and then we extend, but the real deadline, the end of the end is...
The end of the end is near.
The end is nigh.
The end is nigh upon us.
Yes.
So renew now. And don't wait until the very last minute. We always have individuals who think, oh, well, I've got until the end of January 31st, which is correct. However, it is by 11:59 p.m. January 31st Mountain Time. And the last thing that you want to do is wait until 11:30 to start placing your order and then realize that for one reason or another, something glitched, the payment didn't go through, whatever happens, and all of a sudden you haven't renewed. Make sure you get renewed today. That way, if any problems happen on the order entry, you can get in contact with us. We can get you taken care of before it's too late.
Yeah. You don't want to lose qualification status or...
Qualification, downline,
leads.
All that fun stuff.
Yeah. We don't want to lose that. So.
Yeah, and we don't want to lose you. So re-up with us. All right. One other thing that we need to talk about.
What's up?
The national conference.
That's a big one.
Yes.
That's a big one.
This is. I know that every year we say the same thing.
But it's true every year. It's true.
It is.
It really is awesome.
It's
the best.
I'm more excited for this national conference than I've ever been for any other national conference.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot to do with who we have presenting at this national.
That's part of what gets me so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're calling this the E3 Summit, right? The E3 stands for getting educated, getting equipped, and getting engaged. And on the first day, guess what? We're going to get educated. We have 12 Renatus instructors that are going to be gracing our stage and talking about those strategies that they are employing today to create success in their business. And remember, these are practitioner instructors.
12.
That's
it's quite a lineup.
Yeah. As a practitioner instructor, these are the individuals that are making their full-time living doing what they are going to teach about. So we are trying to encourage everybody to be there, if for no other reason than to get the latest and greatest updates when it comes to real estate investing today. On top of that, we have the PAC members that are going to be presenting.
Mm-hmm.
We have Woody, who's presenting.
Mm-hmm.
You're presenting.
The best.
I'm going to be presenting. Bob Snyder's going to be presenting, but wait, there's more. We have Mr. Jeff Griffin is going to be presenting as well. He is a Paralympian gold medalist, I think. Now that I said that out loud, I'm not actually sure. I think he's a gold medalist. I know he is a world record holder. I know that he is one of the most incredible speakers I have ever listened to. As he tells his story, as he shares his content, he is so engaging that your surroundings start to melt away. You forget where you are and what you're doing because you're so engrossed into what he's sharing. He is a phenomenal presenter, and I am so excited to have him as one of our 2 keynote speakers this year.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool.
You know who our second keynote is?
You actually said the name, and I
did?
don't believe I know who it was.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, then you're in for a treat.
Yeah.
So our second keynote speaker at the national conference is going to be none other than Mr. Dan Clark. So
I know who Dan Clark is.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So Dan Clark is he is a Hall of Fame speaker who has he has been on the professional speaking circuit now for 40 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty close to 40 if it's not 40 yet. And he was at one point in time, he was the mouthpiece for the Just Say No campaign that came from Nancy Reagan. Mm-hmm. He attended, I think, 1,500 high schools in the course of one school year to present about it. He has given so many presentations to the military that they have actually started to allow him to fly any one of their aircraft that he wants. So he has actually flown in or actually piloted every single type of aircraft that the Air Force has in operation today.
That's cool.
Including, but not limited to, the U-32, which is the uber high, what do they call it?
I don't know.
It flies in space, basically.
It goes up high altitude?
High altitude. There you go. It's a high altitude surveillance plane that basically flies right on the edge of space.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So
Dan, I got the chance to listen to Dan Clark come and speak here, and he's phenomenal. I quite enjoyed it. Looking forward to having him at our national. He's a stud.
Did you quite enjoy it?
I did quite enjoy it.
Well, here's the deal. Dan Clark is a presenter that is now a dying breed. The way that he was able to even as he came here and was just sharing those shorter presentations that he had, it was incredible to listen to the content that he shared, to listen to his pedigree of individuals that he has personally mentored, coached with, the different team and organizations that he has worked with. He has worked in every single major league sports organization out there. I think he said he's been with every single NFL team that he has coached them at different times. He has coached so many of the Fortune 50 CEOs personally, has mentored them in their business. And he's going to be our second keynote at the national conference.
Yeah, he's got an awesome story. I'm not going to spill the beans here, other than, he suffered a significant injury and had to relearn how to walk and all that. But he'll go into his story. It's incredible. It's an incredible story. And then probably my favorite thing from what he shared was actually a conversation that he had with Muhammad Ali. So that was really neat. But
that was incredible.
Yeah.
When he talked about just meeting Muhammad Ali, walking into his house.
Well, but yeah, it was the dialogue. It was the exchange and the lessons learned. So anyways, there's a lot of content there.
Yeah.
He's an amazing speaker. I look forward to everybody else getting the chance to hear from him.
Yeah. He is truly exceptional. And the best part is that he gives utility, right? He gives these practical tools that you can use in ways that you can be more engaging as a storyteller, ways that you can reach your audience better and create a more compelling message that people want to listen to. He's a phenomenal presenter. I cannot wait for him to get introduced to the Renatus family and for the Renatus family to get introduced to him. So make sure that you are at the national conference. The price on this thing is only $447. That's it. That's for 3 days of incredible content, as well as access to the awards ceremony and the banquet, which honestly is worth the price of admission in and of itself. But it is truly unbelievable that we're doing all of that 3 full days for only $447. But there is the early bird discount that's going on right now, which is that if you order your ticket before the 22nd of February, the price is $397. We drop it that $50, which is basically, it's not even a break even for us. That's we're starting to lose money on every ticket. But Bob Snyder is so profoundly inspired by the content that's being created for this national conference that he is taking a loss on inviting guests. So he has opened it up this year so that there's an all-access guest ticket that can be purchased for $95. That way you can invite anybody you want to attend the national conference, and they're going to get all 3 days of training. They're going to get all of the conference branded swag, as well as access to the banquet and to the award ceremony, as long as they order their ticket before the 10th of March. That's $95. If there is somebody who wants to come to the 3 days of training but cannot figure out how to get to the award ceremony, we actually have a basic guest ticket as well. This is unbelievable because at this point, we're barely even scratching the surface of the cost per attendee that we have that are coming to the conference. But Bob has put together a $30 ticket offer for all guests. I would encourage you, as strongly as I can implore you through the lens and through your screen, get as many people to the national as you possibly can. Get all of your guests there with the $95 ticket so that they can take part with us at the awards ceremony, which is truly where the design, the operation, where Renatus as a whole goes from your head to your heart. Make sure that they're there. If for whatever reason they can't be there, don't let them miss this opportunity. Get them in at the $30 ticket price. Get them there for the 3 days of incredible life-changing training. Every single year we have individuals who walk out of the national and say, man, if I had known it was going to be this good. Well, this year we have removed all of the obstacles. There is no excuse not to bring every single person that can hear you, every single person that you've ever talked to. You need to make sure that they know that they are invited to be with us March 20th through the 22nd in Layton, Utah.
Well said.
Oh, that was a spiel. Man, I am so looking forward to the national though. I mean, every year, as soon as we get to December, my mind starts cranking on how we can make this national better and better and better. And man, I tell you what, Bob Snyder has pulled out all the stops this year. It is going to be life-changing.
It's going to be a good national. You won't want to miss it. And you don't want to come and then figure out that you should have brought people that you didn't. So make sure you bring them. No excuses.
Yep. I tell you what, if you invite somebody, they come to the 3 days if you invite somebody with the $30 ticket, they come to the 3 days of content and they don't feel like they got their money's worth, I'll refund their ticket. I don't even have a problem. I'm that confident in the kind of content that we're creating. There is nobody who will attend and take part with us that is going to think that it wasn't worth their time.
It's true. I've never brought anybody that said that they were unhappy with the training they got. So every person I've ever brought was satisfied.
Oh, man. The national conference is a phenomenal opportunity every single year. We call it the Renatus Hug Fest because when you bring the family together, hugs happen. It's so great to be able to see and celebrate our family members from across the country every single year. And I love the opportunity we get to hear the stories, the testimonials, and the way people's lives have evolved and changed because of their association with Renatus. Don't miss this event. I can't say that enough. Don't miss it.
Ditto.
That's,
seriously though, don't miss it.
In the mouth of two or three, right?
Yes.
Truth has been spoken.
Of two, should we bring in the third?
Ooh, we should. You want to introduce him this time?
Today we've got a guest that we've actually had on. How many times? This is number 3.
That's
time.
What I thought. Third time's the charm.
We keep bringing him back because the content and what we talk about is such a valuable conversation. And I think, especially for those that are just getting started, Mitch is going to really, I think, fill in some of those gaps for people. Every time we have a conversation, it's of great value. And he's somebody that I love just having out and hanging out with. So we have a good time. Yeah, we have a fun time. The fun before the podcast. It's a good time. So
it is a really good time. But Mitch has proven to be a community leader. He's a top income earner. He's an individual who truly leads with his heart and is dedicated to empowering the people around him to achieve new levels of success in their lives. And you can tell not just by hanging around him, but seeing the way that people whom he leads how they respect him, how they respond to him. So I am super glad to have you here with us again, man. It's every single time you come out, I feel edified. I feel like, oh man, my belief is strengthened, and I get educated every single time. So thank you for coming.
It's an honor to be here, man. I'm excited to be invited back. Thanks you.
For coming.
Right on. So
I thought for sure after that last time, you're like, no more Mitch. But,
Yeah.
but here we go. You gave me a microphone again.
That's right. Well, we hope, by the third time we're going to get it right. You know, we just want to hit
third
the right
time's
chord
the
with it.
charm.
No.
Next time they might unplug the mic. Have you noticed the slightly different microphone voice that most people have?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like guys, humans have evolved for like 1 million years, and microphones are like 100 years old. It's like an instinct thing.
Yeah.
Get in front of a microphone, it's like, good morning.
Hello, ladies.
Do you think, is it just that that's what people heard for, like if you're growing
like
up
an
and you're
instinct.
listening to radio, it was a radio
probably
voice.
You remember like back in the 20s when they used to have the broadcasters whose voices were really high?
Oh yeah.
It's the bottom of the ninth and you can see that
And people never talked like that. Not
Right.
in real
And the
life.
next generation's like,
So
I don't
it
want to
was-
sound like that.
Exactly.
Good
They're like,
evening, everybody.
You know what? I'm going to be the Walter Cronkite now rather than, that's really funny. Are you trying to say that we have like different voices?
It's beautiful. You have an amazing announcer voice, actually.
You do have a good.
Yeah, I call the Renatus customer service line just to hear your voice. I usually hang up after that.
Just to get the voicemail.
I have to record those really early in the morning so my voice
your
is
voice is
a little lower.
Gravelly.
Yeah, so I get a little more gravitas.
I love it.
So, Mitch, I had the opportunity with my wife to go to the intensive that you and your wife hosted with Richard, and it was phenomenal. I had so much fun being there. Tell us a little bit about what it takes to build for an event like that and what some of the benefits are from that event.
Yeah, so we call it the First Flip Challenge Accelerator, and I have to be honest, like I can't take any credit for that event. Maylee is my wife is an incredible event planner.
So you're taking entire credit for this event, all by yourself, huh?
Thanks,
By
man.
yourself.
Appreciate it.
Let me just text Maylee real quick.
Maylee, I cannot take. Did I say I can?
No,
I cannot.
I'm
Okay,
playing- I'm just playing with you. I'm just being dumb.
No, I cannot take any credit for it. Maylee put that whole thing together, and it did. It turned out awesome. But what stands out to us, and the reason we do events like that, is because Renatus has an incredible value, and it's so hard to show our prospects all of the incredible value that's been jam-packed into this product. And so, having not just being able to invite a guest to Thursday, but also having, ancillary events where, students who have been successful with the education are doing house tours. And we've got, incredible instructors like Whitney Stark and Jason Andrus coming in, being able to invite guests to that and get a preview of the education. Like there's so much value. And I think the more value we can show people, the more that feeling of, well, I can't not do this, right?
Right.
It's like there's so much value here. Jay, you and I were talking earlier. We were whiteboarding upstairs in your office, and we were talking about how money is always the number one.
Oh yeah.
The number one thing that prevents people from getting started, and yet the most common comment I get, especially from the people who that's their like number one objection. The most common comment after they buy. Week or two goes by, they're like, I can't believe you're only charging $26,000 for this.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Best money ever spent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, building for those events, it's a lot of work, but it's I think the more exposure you can get somebody, the more likely they are to make the decision because the value's there.
Yeah.
It's just leading them down the path.
That's awesome. I know that for me, being able to see the education in action, being able to hear from the other people that have done what you want to do, they go where you want, or they have been where you want to go. I know that that's always been just such a belief builder.
Yeah.
And that's really what people need is they just need that reinforcement of belief that, hey, you can do this too. And I know while we were there, you had a couple of people come up and give testimonials. Mm-hmm. And I got to admit, I had never seen a couple of them ever before. There was one guy in particular.
Just put their order in right before Richard invited him on stage.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
There was one guy in particular, and I won't forget. He was so excited. I think his name was
Seta.
Seta. I
I know exactly what you're
said it
talking
backwards. But Seta, this guy was so excited. Yeah. He was like bouncing up and down on stage. And he's not like a little guy. He was like kind of this big, he was bouncing up and down on stage and just so excited about his new frame on opportunity. Where basically, as he has begun to understand what he can do, his dreams have started to evolve as well. Yep. His whole perspective on life has changed. Tell me for you as a leader, how does that feel to you? How seeing somebody's perspective broaden? That
is the most rewarding part of being an ICM.
Yeah.
Is introducing people to this incredible opportunity that's changed my life, and I know it'll change theirs. You know, Dane Clark is an incredible guy. That and we joke, but he does. He calls me about once every 6 months. He just says, "Hey, I just want to say thank you. Like, thank you for showing me this." And every time I give him the same response, I said, "Dane, you did the work." He said, "I know, but you're the one that showed it to me."
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say thank you. Just that kind, like there is no amount of money that you or Bob could pay me that replaces the feeling that you get when you know that you had a positive impact, a permanent positive impact on someone's life. You know, Seta is a great example.
Yeah.
Seta is, English is his third language. He was born in Tonga.
Holy
His
smokes.
family moved to American Samoa. He learned Samoan as a young 4, 5, 6-year-old. And they moved to American Samoa so that it was a U.S. territory, so that they could start working towards getting citizenship. And then, you know, as an 18-year-old, he's like, everybody that does that same kind of path that my family tried to do knows that the military is the way into citizenship. And, but Seta, he went out and he tried taking the military, the aptitude test a couple of times. And he's like, I don't know what it is. Like, I'm a smart guy. I just don't test well. He couldn't pass the test. And so his dream growing up was to join the military, you know, and now he's like, you know, wasn't able to get in, and he's in poverty, and you know, he had that ambition of, I want to make something of myself. And it's fun getting to talk to him, because he's like, real estate investing has given me that channel. He and his wife, I mean, gosh, they've been going on probably 3 years, 2.5 years. You know, they've been Renatus students, and they've done probably 12 deals. They're kicking butt. They live in a really nice house up on the hill in Draper now. And, you know, I mean, he's just crushing it. And that's where that excitement comes from. Yeah. It's because Renatus has allowed him to live his dreams. And those types of stories, man, I could go on for days and days. But at the end of the day, that's why I do it.
That's amazing. That's amazing, because it was so clear to see how excited he was. He was so authentic. I mean, not incredibly well spoken, but just so authentic. Yeah. You couldn't help but love the guy. Yep. And to feel his energy, you know, he's just so excited. He's bouncing all over the place. You know, we had Dane Clark come out on the Invest Edge this week, and he did he did a great job. Yeah. But he used one example where he literally talked about an opportunity on a home where he was trying to convince this guy that he was partnered up with, hey, don't just fix it and flip it. He's like, fix it, but then seller finance it so that you get that, you know, that upfront flip, big money, but then you also get the ongoing residual from it. And he turned out, I think, you're gonna have to go back and watch the Invest Edge to fact check me on this, but I think he ended up seller financing the same house 3 or 4 times because the first person started to fall behind on payments, and he called her up, and she said, oh, well, I've actually just put in a mother-in-law apartment. I really was just looking to make residual income on this. And he goes, you know what? Rather than me foreclose on you, I'm going to sell it again. And all of the difference that I make in that monthly payment is going to come back to you. So that he was still getting his original monthly payment that he would have gotten from her, and anything extra went back to the other lady.
Oh, wow.
And then the guy who bought it, same thing kind of happened. He did the same thing again. And it's just like, man, I love not just when people are killing it. That's always fun. But when people are killing it and they are ethically minded and truly looking out for the best in other people.
Yeah.
And that's what I love seeing. And that's why, seeing you as a leader and the people that are coming from your group with that authentic, that just ridiculous excitement is so gratifying. It's so much fun to see.
Yeah. Yeah. We kind of built our community on a foundation of something that I heard Bob say, and I've heard him say it several times, but the first time I heard it, it was like life philosophy all of a sudden, right? And he said, love the people, use the money, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And so as Melee and I were talking about creating our own community and becoming leaders and, putting our hand in the air kind of thing, our main goal is we wanted to create a culture of love, a culture where we're here to collaborate, we're here to help each other, no stepping on toes, like no backbiting, like we're just here to love each other and push each other forward.
I love that.
And it's working. Like we have Thursdays are some of my most favorite, it's my favorite time of the week because I get to see all my friends. We all love each other. There's no like secret whispering about other people. It's just love.
That.
It's awesome.
It.
Yeah.
That's what it's got to be. And that, over the years I've had the advantage to be able to see people that groups where there's some of that starts to take place, and people, because you get thousands of people together, or let's say hundreds in a group, you're going to have some people who disagree. And so you have to cultivate a culture that is very strong on letting go of your differences and just being a community,
Yep.
And that's hard to do. That's really neat.
You got to lead from the front, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing that stuff, if you're saying, oh, well, this guy, or man, I can't stand it when this guy shows up, if you're doing it, then they're like, that gives other people permission to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Whoever you said
totally
it to,
does.
now they can talk bad about someone else because you talk.
Exactly.
It's like if you want to create something, you have to lead by example.
100%.
Yeah, I love that. That accountability is phenomenal, and that is truly how you build a long-lasting community. Otherwise, you're just building a group that's going to fall apart as soon as one little change happens. But how much time would you say, or how much on somebody's path as they get introduced to you, to the community, and then they become a customer?
Yeah.
How much time between A and B do you spend in trying to help them just to get out of their own way?
Just like one-on-one time, or counting like group time as well?
Kind of group time as well. But how much of that focus is really on, let me help you get out of your own way?
Yeah. Leading up to purchase, just so I understand the question, leading up to the purchase. Oh man, it's probably an average, including group time, probably an average about 10 hours per person.
Wow.
There's, one of the things that the Renatus education has taught me is to leverage systems.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're systematizing a lot of that interaction and a lot of, the manual, and increasing the amount of group value that we give.
Yeah.
But using systems to decrease the amount of time that we have to put in to notify people of the group value we're about to give.
Right.
Right. So instead of sitting there and texting 200 leads, I just invested in a system that I can push a button and all my leads are already categorized, and it sends it out. So, systematizing that has really helped. But you've got to put the time in. You've got to, the second thing that people are most concerned about, and one of the reasons they don't buy, is trust.
Yeah.
They need to see enough to know that this is the right decision. And I know that if they see enough, they will. So just show them enough.
So what does that moment look like when somebody finally crosses that pinnacle of trust where they're like, oh, I get it, I'm in?
Yeah.
What does that feel like?
Yeah. I mean, it's a great feeling, right? I mean, for a lot of reasons, we're commissioned, ICMs. So that feels good. It's all right, I'm getting paid. That's cool. But more importantly than that, just the excitement of, I had a conversation with a guy today who had that moment today, right? We're on Zoom, and, we get on and I'm open up with, all right, we've talked about these things. I gave you a little bit of homework to study and to, some videos to watch and some people, some references to call. What do you think? He's like, I want to do this. I'm ready. Let's go. And the just like being able to look at it. And I even said out loud to him, I'm like, I am so excited for you because the journey you're about to go on is transformative, not just for you, but your kids are going to start thinking different. You just caused a left-hand turn in your family tree, right? Like this is generational wealth that you're going to start building because of this decision.
Oh, I love that. You just took a left-hand turn in your family tree.
Nope.
Well, something's got to change. That's the thing about family trees, right? Is the cycle
truly.
just repeats itself over and over and over again, and unless somebody changes it, it's going to end up where it's always been.
Well, if we look at classes like the tax class that we have and the legal class that we have, the velocity banking class. I mean, any class that deals with personal finance, it's pretty easy to see after just a few minutes of watching the class that everything that we are taught as average people, that we're taught in our free education that's provided by the government, is designed to keep us average. It's designed to put us in a position where we can be taken advantage of by the government, by the banks. And most people only ever subscribe to the systems that are taught to them in public education. Go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a job, work at W-2, pay your taxes, use TurboTax, right? Go get a mortgage and a checking account and, all those things. And if you start to do the math at what that actually does to the average person, like, no wonder average people are average because the things that they are doing are keeping them average. And that is the power that the Renatus education has, is it enlightens every one of us to be able to go out and counter those forces that are pushing us to stay average. Taxes is one example. Velocity banking is one of my favorite examples.
Right.
Because I've seen people plug their stuff into the velocity banking calculator in Randall's class and go from like 28 years worth of debt down to like 9. Yeah. With same income, this current situation just staying the same over the next 9 years, and they bypass, 20 years of interest or 19 years of interest. Those are the things that are transformative. Knowledge is power. And I don't even remember what the original question is, but I'm on a roll here, so I'm going to keep going.
Keep going.
Knowledge is one of the currencies that we have that you cannot get less of. You can, and this is why the Renatus education is so valuable, because something could happen that can make my money go away, and yours.
Right.
Like we could easily get our money taken away.
Right.
And we do what we can to make sure we're safe, but at the end of the day, it could be taken away from you. Your relationships can be taken away from you. But the one thing that you can never get less of, you can only add to it, is your knowledge.
Man, I was just thinking about that because you're absolutely right. Sharing your knowledge does not take it out of your head. You never lose that knowledge, even if you share it. Instead, it just increases your value to everyone around you.
Good point.
Yep. To yourself, to your family, even to future generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. You get my head. I'm going to be chewing on that one for a minute. So that's so cool though. And I love that perspective of giving and serving and helping. And I love those moments where people's lives, you can actually watch their mindset just shift, which really is the first step to creating a new outcome in their life. They have to change their mindset.
Yep.
And I think that you're absolutely right. We so often see people that get stuck into this pattern, where they're like, hey, I'm always going to do what I've always done because this works for me, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I was born different so I could make a difference. I'm not here to be average. I don't want to be average. There's no part of me that says, hey, I want to be like everyone else. I want to be different than everyone else because I have that capability. So I love that you lean into that and you really try to help magnify people's differences so that they can make a difference.
Yeah. How many people do all of us know that by their late 20s into their 30s are disillusioned because and say to themselves and to others, like, I've done everything that I was told to do and I'm still broke, or I'm still, in debt, or I still have these student loans. I've done everything I was told to do, and it's only, and even some people that they're like, well, if I just do it harder then, right? And they're still just in this hamster wheel, and it's so wonderful to have a tool that we can create a business around, so we could do it full time, right? But a tool that we can offer these people to break that cycle.
Yeah,
it's really powerful.
That's
really
awesome.
Cool thing.
That's awesome. So
I bleed blue, if you can't tell.
Yeah, I have been able to see that. For those people that are watching the podcast that maybe have never heard you before, who don't know you yet, give us a little bit of your history, like kind of what led up to you becoming a part of Renatus, and what your future is now that you're creating in Renatus.
Yeah. What's interesting, I don't share this part of my story a lot, but I will today, since we have a little, the format for it. I was born into a fairly well-off family. Grew up in Draper. My dad did very, very well as a salesman. He grew up poor. I did not. And he did a couple of things really well as a parent. And I actually look to my parents as an example of this in every way that I can, and try to live up to it. But he showed us luxury. My mom and dad showed us luxury. They would take us to, when we went on vacations, we flew first class. We stayed in the nicest hotel. We always had the VIP passes to everything.
Yeah.
Front row concert tickets, front row jazz tickets, basketball, the Utah Jazz, right? And so we got a taste of luxury. But he also taught us all how to work. There were consequences. Those things would be taken away if we didn't pull our weight. And if we wanted extra things, if I wanted to go to, I've always been interested in space. So I was that nerdy kid that went to space camp, right? Like, I want to go to space camp. Great. Here's how you can make some money to do it, right? And so we had jobs, and we had to work, and it taught us to work. And one of the best things I think he ever did for me, both my parents ever did for me, was they cut me off when I moved out. It wasn't just this ongoing, like, I'll keep paying for it, I'll help you cover your rent. He let us struggle, because you have to go through that, right?
Yeah.
And because they had given me a taste of that, the high life, yeah. Right. Before, I was like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I don't want to, I had made a decision not to go to college. I love learning now, which is interesting, but I didn't as a teenager. And so I was like, nah, my dad didn't go to college. He did fine. I'll figure it out, kind of on my own type thing. And so, I kind of bounced from one sales job to the next, landed at the Apple store at 26 years old, 2011, and was making $11 an hour. And I remember it was right at my 27th birthday. Because the sevens of every decade are always the birthday where I'm like, all right, well, how is your assessment year, right? Okay. How's my 20s going? Right. And because of how I grew up, I had set some really lofty goals for myself. I said, by the time I want to be a self-made millionaire by the time I'm 30.
Wow.
Being worth $1 million or more.
Yeah.
And by the time I'm 35, I want to make $1 million in a calendar year. These were goals I had set for myself at age 19, 20. And then here I am, 27, making 40 grand a year. Oh, yeah. Broke as a joke, spending $45,000 a year, right? Living in a 2-bedroom apartment, finding myself much closer chronologically to my goal than I was financially.
Yeah.
And I didn't know where to turn. There was nobody that worked at the Apple store with me that was a millionaire.
Right.
They didn't give me Steve Jobs' cell phone number to, like, hey, Steve, what's the secret, man?
Rude,
Yeah, I know they should. They absolutely should. But that's what started the search. And I started studying people. I started reading like crazy, wealth books and self-development books. And it was, I think this is pretty cliche, but it was Rich Dad, Poor Dad that really led me to real estate.
Yeah.
And I started going out and looking. And I, started attending the seminars and the guru events and
as you do once reading that book,
like you do. Yep. And Jonathan O'Neill, found me. He was at the same guru event, and he's like, "You gonna buy this?" I'm like, "I think so. I think I'm gonna do it." It was like 60 grand. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I think I'm gonna,
Yeah.
really glad I didn't. Cause that guy's out of business now. But, he's like, well, before you do that, just come see what I got. Right. And again, I was somebody who took several exposures in my process before I made that decision. Now I understand why, because of the drive system. I'm a validator executive. So I'm an executive. I need proof, right? Sitting in a meeting and you talking at me does not prove to me that this works.
Right.
And so the original Thursday presentation was great and I needed it. Just like we talked about, you never get less knowledge. So that knowledge helped. And then the one-on-one, it's still great, but we're still just sitting here talking, and John said, all right, give me one more shot. This Saturday, we're going to go to one of my flips. And I want you to come check it out. And I'm like, okay, let's go see this proof. Right. And I show up and John's up there who had, he told me his background as a contractor. He had just started like 4 months ago, started it with the Renatus education. And here he was in a flip that he owned, writing on the whiteboard the math on how he's going to make $40,000 on this flip that he was doing. And I love John. He's one of my close friends, so I could say this, and I've said it to him before. I was like, if this idiot could do it, John's not an idiot, but I was like, if this guy could do it, I could totally do it, right? Yeah. And that was the decision maker. I sat down with John and he showed me how to get some funding together, and I've never looked back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice. Yep. And now,
best thing ever.
Yeah. Now you're taking that position of being able to create a new reality for other people.
That's true. There's a funny story behind that, if I can share. So I originally, John had introduced the comp plan to me. I was like, that's not why I'm doing this. Like, I am doing this because I want to get into real estate. Like, I'm not really interested in selling the product, Right. So for a good 2 years, I didn't. He actually sat me down because he had 2 sales going, and this is on the old comp plan, where the first 2 sales would roll up to the person above them, he wanted the person who was going to market to be under him. Right. So he'd already had 1 sale in. Me and another guy were going to be his second and third, and he sat us both down to try to figure out which one to put second, which one to put third, because the second one would roll up to Michael Huggins. He asked me, "Are you going to do any marketing? Are you going to be an ICM?" I said, "No, I don't plan on it." Right. And the other guy said, "Yeah." So I rolled up to Michael. This other guy went under John. I think the other guy disappeared after like a month. No one knows where he went or who he was. And I ended up becoming one of the top income earners in the country. So John, I always tease John about that, but, no, it was 2 years, and it was because in the course of about 100 days, and I don't think this is a typical result, but in the course of about 100 days, I was able to go from knowing nothing about real estate, never even bought my own house, to getting into my first deal.
Wow.
Because of the Renatus education. And then I got into my next deal, and then I bought my third, and then my fourth before I finished my third. So I was doing 2 at a time. And then, so 2 years down the road, I've quit my job at Apple. I'm making, more money in one deal than I made in a whole year in Apple. And I'm doing, 5-6 deals a year, and just like reflecting on the blessing that the Renatus education was for me, and people and my lifestyle started to increase a little bit, starting to get back to, what mom and dad showed us was possible. One of my favorite quotes, by the way, Garrett Gunderson, he said, a luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity. Man, that's true.
Ooh,
that is so true.
That's the truth.
But my life,
can't go back.
You can't go back. You can't go back. I was craving caviar that whole time, right? And I was eating Cheerios. But so my lifestyle started to increase, and people started asking me, "Well, what are you doing? Like, what happened?" Right? And the answer was, "Well, Renatus." Well, how do I do it? Oh, well, go talk to Michael Huggins. It only took a couple of those before I realized I just made Michael Huggins $20,000. Right?
I always wondered, because the first time I came down to the group here in Salt Lake, I remember Richard talking about you and some of your deals.
Yeah.
Like he was just holding them up like as, some cool deals that have been done in the community. And I remember thinking, well, if this Mitch guy is cranking out all these deals, why isn't he here? Right? Like,
Right?
Why is he not in this room? This would have been like, this was probably 2015.
I'm a
early
little slow.
2015. So this is so crazy because I'm now getting the other side of this story.
No, it took me a
You're
second.
connecting all the dots. I
It
get
took
it.
me a
that's
second,
awesome.
but I figured it out and realized, hey, and what I mean, at the time, it was like, I'm leaving money on the table, right? I should be making this money, not Michael Huggins, right? So, and I love Michael, but I should be. And so that's when I kind of jumped in and re-engaged with both John and Michael, and they were both so willing to help me start an ICM business, right? Like just start teaching me the motions to go through and how to generate leads and how to talk to them and what the invite process was and how to tell my story. I didn't know how to tell my story before Renatus, and building for events and following up. Like I learned all of those skills from those two guys who learned it here.
Yeah.
And we started cranking and what I found was over time, I found Renatus because I wanted to do real estate. But the thing that I become most passionate about is changing people's lives. I love my Renatus business more than I love my real estate business.
Money is only so gratifying.
It is.
But people, they just continue to build and compound.
Yep.
It becomes just that much more, not just beneficial, but you just feel that much more good about what you're doing because you're putting good into the world.
Yep.
So going kind of full circle here. Did you hit your goal by 30?
I did.
Did you hit your goal by 35?
I did not hit my goal by 35, but I came really, really close. Like within 5 figures.
As good a time as any, just to say that Renatus does not guarantee any level of success or income.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's results vary. Depends on, your starting point, your effort, your resources.
I knew he was going to roll into
Is that
this.
true?
What?
That's not what I've been telling people.
Yeah, have you been telling people? Yeah, you're all gonna.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
What's my heart rate on this thing?
It's funny because I knew as soon as I asked that question that you were going to be like, wait a second.
Well,
I just had to go full.
Be careful that we don't,
I had to go full circle there because that's so powerful that you at 27 realized that you were not on the trajectory that you wanted to be on. That you then found you found Renatus found you. That was able to realign the direction you were headed, realign where you ended or where you are going now, and how you've been able to, in a very short time, create a whole new world for yourself, a whole new perspective on what is possible, what you can do. And now my favorite part, and I can say this with confidence without even having asked them, I guarantee you are now passing this on to your kids and giving them an opportunity, just like your dad did, to work hard and understand the benefit of working hard.
Yeah. Maylee is such an incredible mom, and she has a way of showing by example to our kids, like the things we're doing and why we're doing them and helping them understand. I do my thing and, we have a different kind of vernacular around the house than I think most average families do.
Right.
We're talking real estate deals at dinner, and they see us running our business at interesting hours,
Yeah.
and having time at hours that most people don't have to spend time with them and come to their events and do, and focus on the family. And they see a different level of freedom that we have. But Maylee does such an incredible job of just teaching our kids these principles. This was about a year and a half ago now, but our daughter came to Maylee once and she said, and this Maylee told, I wasn't there. Maylee told me this story like after the fact, but she said, our daughter came to me today and was like, I understand what you're talking about now with generational wealth. You're not just going to give me a whole bunch of money. Like, you're teaching me principles that are different than from what I learned in school. And our daughter went on to, tell her, like, I was listening to my teacher today and she was saying all these things that I'm like, that's not right. That's not right. Like, you don't, like, it's just average people stuff that we learn in school, and our daughter's like, no, that's not what mom and dad said. Like, it's,
as a parent, that has got to be so rewarding.
It's rewarding. It's very gratifying.
Oh man. That's literally giving me the feels, because I've had that experience as well, or one similar to it where it just starts to click with my kids.
Yeah.
And as much fun as it is to share Renatus with people who have never seen it before and to help them realign, there is nothing that has been anything even close to comparable to sharing it with my kids.
Yeah.
And having that perspective now being promoted in my own home by them.
Yep.
That's so amazing.
Yeah. I mean, they're still kids, right? There's still times where you want to put them in a headlock and just give them a noogie. But it is fun.
I feel like this is the time for us to add a disclaimer here. Renatus does not support or endorse any of the opinions or perspectives that have been discussed during this broadcast about child rearing with noogies.
Are noogies out?
Wait, noogies are out?
I didn't know noogies were out. The line?
I thought that was. I thought that was still in the parenting handbook.
Still 101.
I just love that. I love that with the opportunity you have really just shared what I consider to be the Renatus dream, which is creating a new reality or revealing a new reality to individuals of what they can create in their own lives, what they are truly capable of.
Yep.
And so I want to recognize you and your wife for what you've done and for what you continue to do. And while you guys are top income earners inside of Renatus, I think what might be a more truly apt definition for who you are is that you are top community builders, because you are promoting the Renatus family. You are creating that community of love, respect, support, and help, service. That is truly what Renatus is all about. So you rock, man.
We love doing it.
Yeah. It's obvious to see. Really, I mean, truly, just from here, I feel it. That's so great. Well, thank you for being with us. This has been a phenomenal conversation.
Yeah.
Can't wait to have you back on in a couple of months to see.
I will be back
update
anytime.
From you.
As soon as you were like, "Hey, you want to show up?" I'm there. It's in my calendar. I'm there.
Was like the easiest scheduling I have ever done. I'm just like, "Hey, when are you available?" You're like, "Whenever you name it, I'll be here."
Yep.
So, well, I really appreciate you coming in. This has been awesome. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mitch.
My pleasure.
All right. Well, never forget that the reason why Renatus rocks is because the people who are associated with us, like Mr. Matt Snyder, like Mr. Mitch Nelson and his lovely wife, Maylee, as well as Mr. Aaron Peterson, who's the man behind the curtain. But I am so proud to be a part of Renatus because Renatus truly rocks. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you guys next week.